Texas, Purdue to start things off in the Sweet 16. Texas is the Cinderella of this tournament, whether you like it or not. 11 seed making it to the Sweet 16. Nobody saw this coming. And they do, in a way, have the makings of a typical national championship contender. It's just like a dollar store, Five Below, Dollar Tree version of it because they have a good big man complemented with great guard play. Jordan Pope, Dylan Swain. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And then Matas Voliatatis. I'm probably butchering that. I'm just going to call him Matas. And he's been a beast for the Longhorns. I mean, he's averaging 18 and 11 in the NCAA tournament. But the comp has not been the greatest. Like Gonzaga was horrifically underseeded. Anybody with a brain knew that they weren't going to be a 3 seed, right? They never deserved to be a 3 seed. The fact that I'm not a St. John's hater. I think they're overrated right now. They're better than Gonzaga. They were always better than Gonzaga. Gonzaga did not deserve to be a 3 seed, especially with the injuries that they incurred all season, and they struggled in the Pacific Coast Conference. Like they almost lost to Portland. They did lose to Portland. They almost lost to Seattle. They struggled against Santa Clara. Like I don't know how you could possibly have thought Gonzaga was a team you could rely on, and Texas took care of them. And that was a really good win for Texas. Purdue's a different beast, man. Purdue has the bigs down low with Trey Kaufman-Renn and Clough. They have way better guard play with Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, and Purdue has been there before. And Purdue has so much experience. They're scorching hot right now. Texas is also not the greatest defensive team. West is not the greatest defensive team, but Purdue has the number 1 rated offense in Torvik. So, and I think Miami was better than Texas, and Purdue handled them, even though Braden Smith was 3 for 12 from the field and had 8 turnovers, right? So I think Texas is sneaky, but they've had the easiest comp, banged up BYU team, banged up Gonzaga team. Give me Purdue over Texas handedly. Iowa, Nebraska. I overlooked Nebraska a little bit hand up. They've been shooting the 3 ball at a really, really high level right now. I think this is the hardest game to pick. Flip a coin. I'm going to go with Nebraska because they're just shooting the 3 at a really, really high level. I think Iowa loves to slow things down. That worked against Florida because Florida likes to run. However, Nebraska doesn't like to run. Nebraska plays really, really slow. Hoiberg can operate a half-court offense better than Boogie Flander, Xavier Lee could, or Klabschar could. So I think Nebraska will be able to handle Iowa's really, really slow pace. I think Hoiberg is a better pure point guard than Bennett Sturts, but Bennett Sturts is the best scorer in this game. So give me the Cornhuskers. And their biggest weakness, Nebraska, according to Torvik, is their defense on 2-point field goal attempts, allowing 50% on 2-point field goals, ranking 106th in the country. But Iowa is sitting at 279th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage. So it's like Iowa's weakness can't really get exploited or Nebraska's weakness defensively can't really get exploited by Iowa because their strength offensively is not scoring from inside the 3-point arc and down low at the rim. And Nebraska's a better defensive team than Iowa. They're just as good an offensive team. They've been striping it from 3 beyond the arc. I think Nebraska can get it done. But again, this is a real coin flip game. This is a coin flip. Take whoever the underdog is if you're looking for value. It's a fun one. It's going to be a lot of fun. These teams split in the regular season. And Iowa took Nebraska to overtime in Lincoln. So it's tough. Arkansas versus Arizona. Brutal here from the committee. What are we doing? We want to see both of these teams in the tournament as long as possible, and you got to throw them together. Here's the thing with this game, man. Darius Acuff's a traffic cone. No two ways about it. And Jaden Bradley and Braden Burries are 2 of the best defensive guards in the country. But I do not care if Gary Payton is shooting up for Arizona. Nobody in the country is standing in front of Darius Acuff. If Brazil can hit a couple of 3s early on in this game, move Krivas out from the paint, opens up some driving lanes for Darius Acuff, and he can kick it out to a team in Arkansas that is top 10 in 3-point percentage in the country. That's how they get this done. Brazil is going to be huge. He's going to have to dominate Krivas on the boards. He's going to have to score on the interior on Krivas, maybe get him into foul trouble early, get that guy out of here, and that opens things up for Acuff to get going downhill. However, I just think Arizona is too much of a wagon, man. This is such a tough draw for Arkansas. Neither of these teams take a lot of threes, but both of them make a lot. But like I said, Arkansas is top 10 in the country in three-point percentage at 39% as a team. If Arkansas can spread them out, get a cup going downhill, and he can either get to the rim, he can either hit some pull-up middies, or kick it out to, again, a top 10 three-point shooting team, I think that's the best chance here. And Brazil needs to hit a couple threes early, bring Krivas out from underneath the basket, and that'll open things up for this Arkansas offense. But I think Arizona is going to dominate the boards. I think they're way better defensively, and they have a guy in Jaden Bradley who's giving Walter Clayton vibes from last year. So I think Arizona takes care of business here. Illinois, Houston, can Wagler, Stojakovic, and Boswell contain Fleming, Zuzan, and Sharp? That's the key in this game. Because I think Illinois is going to dominate the glass. I think they're going to have more second chance opportunities. I think they're going to limit Houston's opportunities, but I just don't know if Illinois' guards can contain Houston's guards. I know Houston's guards are going to be able to contain Illinois' guards. So that's why I lean Houston in this game. Not to mention Houston's played in the Big 12, which is better than the Big 10, and they've played physical, really good defensive teams all year. Texas Tech, Kansas, Arizona. They are battle tested, where Illinois, against some really good physical defensive teams like Michigan, got ran out of the gym. However, Illinois does have one of the best offenses in the country. You can't dispute that. And we did see that offense kind of shrink in efficiency later in their Big Ten schedule, but that was the second time these teams were seeing Illinois. So maybe they were able to adjust in the second time seeing them, right? And now we're seeing these teams, these defenses, see Illinois' offense for the first time, and Illinois is not missing. So the more we go, the more I kind of question my confidence in Houston, but I'm still going to take them here. I think Houston also has one thing Illinois doesn't have, and that's way more tournament experience. Uzan, Sharp, Tugler all played in a Final Four and a national championship last year. The only guys with tournament experience for Illinois are Ivasic and Boswell, but they didn't even get to the Sweet 16 last year. They lost in the round of 32 to Kentucky, and Boswell at Arizona lost in the Sweet 16. So Boswell does have some experience, but Stojakovic, the other Ivasic, Keaton Wagler, none of those guys have tournament experience. But the entire guards, all of the guards except Kingston Fleming, who I think is better than Wagler, even though it's closer than people think. But all the other guards have experience in the Final Four, Sweet 16, and national championship. So I like Illinois, or I like Houston because they're better defensively. They do have the offensive firepower to go with them. Not as much, obviously, but they can score. There have been some times this year where elite defenses have been able to shut them down, like Iowa State shut down Houston for a little bit. Arizona shut down Houston for a little bit. Kansas really shut down Houston when they played them at Allen Fieldhouse. But Illinois' defense just isn't elite. So for those reasons, I think Houston gets it done. St. John's, Duke. I think Duke blows St. John's out of the water. People see Kansas. People see Darren Peterson as a top 2-3 pick. People see Bill Self. They think, oh, this must have been a fantastic win for St. John's. No. If you watch Kansas all year, you knew their offense had problems. You knew, we're 10%, low battery on the live stream. You knew their offense had problems. You knew they couldn't operate in the half court. You knew there wasn't much continuity between Acuff and Melvin Council. And still it took a Dylan Darling buzzer beater and a Bryce Hopkins having the greatest shooting performance of his life. 6 for 9 from 3, 31% three-point shooter. Hasn't made more than three threes in a game since November 25th. That's what it took for St. John's to beat a Kansas team that wasn't that good to begin with. And Zubi Ejiofor got contained on the interior. Duke is better defensively. Duke is better offensively. Duke is more athletic than Kansas, so they can go with some of St. John's athletes. And St. John's does have some crazy athletes. Better offensively. They can operate a half-court offense better than Kansas can. They're better defensively. They rebound better. The only area where St. John's has the upper hand is the turnover margin, but it's marginal, and Duke blows them out in every other aspect of the game. I think Duke takes care of St. John's by 10 million. Alabama, Michigan. If Alabama doesn't miss, they can win a national championship. But Michigan has struggled against high three-point rate teams this season, so let's not just overlook Alabama here. I'm going to read the chat once I'm done. And Fletcher, you're a clown, bro. However, Michigan has way more size than Alabama. And they also have the athletic bigs where if they take Krivas out, they can guard. Like they can guard 1 through 5 with Mara on the bench. So I think Michigan is a tough matchup for Alabama. They're not going to get the second chance opportunities, Alabama, that they did against Texas Tech. They're not going to be able to get The turnovers, like they're not going to turn. Michigan's not going to turn over the ball as much as Texas Tech did turn the ball over. So I think Michigan should handle Alabama. But then again, if Alabama just gets hot, they don't miss and they hit 23s in your face, and all of a sudden you're losing by 20. So we'll see. But Michigan can also shoot the three better than a lot of people give them credit for. 5 out of their 7 guys in their main rotation are all 36% or higher from three. So I think Michigan is a better 3-point shooting team than people give them credit for. I think they can handle Alabama here. But Alabama's a scary team. There are no two ways about it. Michigan State versus UConn. I think this is the second hardest game to pick. Everyone's raved about UConn's out-of-conference schedule, and maybe we overrated it. They beat Kansas, Florida, BYU, Illinois. Those are their best wins. 3 of those teams aren't in the second weekend. 3 of those teams are not in the second weekend. Solo Ball and Terrace Reed also played awful against UCLA. Alex Caravan, career high, had to bail him out. So I think Michigan State should handle them. I think UConn's not going to have the domination on the glass that they did against UCLA. They're not going to be able to dominate on the glass the way they did against Furman, against a Michigan State team that's top 10 in offensive rebounding percentage and defensive rebounding percentage. So I think Michigan State will be able to even out the rebounding margin, which is a margin that UConn's been dominating in to start this tournament. And I think Fears is better than any guard Michigan has. Solo Ball's been a ghost. Mullins has been inconsistent. Silas helps. Getting Silas back helps. But I like Michigan State in this spot here. Flip a coin, though. Again, very, very, very spotty game here. UConn's also 71% from the free throw line. So it's important to know that teams that don't make threes, not ideal. Tennessee versus Iowa State. No Joshua Jefferson is a problem. And I overrated Kentucky's bigs. Moreno is Charmin Ultra Soft. That guy stinks. One of the worst 5 stars we've seen all time. Tennessee is so much better down low. They lead the country in offensive rebounding percentage. Felix Okpara, AJ Estrella, 2 of the most aggressive bigs, especially Okpara. Jacoby Gillespie's averaging 25 and 7 in the NCAA tournament, and Nate Amen hasn't even gotten going yet. I think Tennessee could absolutely upset Iowa State if Joshua Jefferson doesn't play. He's their leading rebounder against a team that creates more second chance opportunities than any team in the country. Yeah, you bet your ass Tennessee can upset Iowa State here. However, Nate Ament looked like a deer in headlights against a Virginia defense that is nowhere near as suffocating as this Iowa State defense is. Taman Lipsey is an absolute dog, and Jacoby Gillespie and Boswell are not the greatest defensive guards. I think Taman Lipsey will be able to blow by them and then find Momcilovic and find the playmakers, the shooters that Iowa State has, like he did in the Kentucky game where he had 25 and 10, right? So I think, can you show any more of your forehead? These guys are ripping me in the chat. Chat, my forehead is not that bad, bro. What are we talking about here? Unbelievable. My forehead is bad. You'll get old one day too. Either way, it is worth noting, though, Tennessee, Iowa State, both these teams are sub 70% from the free throw line. That's not ideal. But Iowa State's 67% from the charity stripe. So that's not great either. I'm just saying, don't write off the Volunteers. But that'll do it. I'm taking Iowa State. I think Iowa State wins, but just don't write off the balls. If Nate Ament gets going, this team can make the Final Four. Like, subscribe if you made it this far. I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. If you're listening on Spotify, tomorrow we got to talk about the NFL. We got to talk about the NFL, guys. We got to talk about JSN's contract. We got to talk about Travis Kelce's contract. We will do all of that tomorrow. I promise I have NFL content coming for you guys. I understand you NFL guys don't love the March Madness content. Tough luck. Tough shit. I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast. Make sure you guys head over to TikTok too. I'm live on TikTok pretty much every night. I love you guys. I'll talk to y'all later.